It was a cool autumn morning in London, the kind of day where the city's signature grey skies carried a gentle chill, and the leaves on the palace grounds had begun their annual transformation into hues of gold and crimson. The royal family was hosting a public event at Buckingham Palace, one of the many that punctuate the carefully orchestrated calendar of royal sojourn. The courtyard, usually a place of strict decorum, was alive with laughter and the delighted cries of children, among them the young Prince Louis, whose energy and curiosity had already earned him a reputation as the spirited member of the royal family. Prince Louis, just shy of 6 years old, had slipped away from the formalities, joining a small group of children whose games echoed across the courtyard. He was the picture of innocence, cheeks flushed with excitement, his mischievous smile revealing the carefree joy of childhood. The gathered guests, many of whom were invited as part of a charity initiative, watched the young prince with amused smiles. For a moment, the rigid atmosphere of palace life seemed softened by his unrestrained exuberance. Amid the merriment, a senior member of the royal guard stood at his post near the grand gates of the courtyard. Known for his stern demeanor and unwavering commitment to duty, the guard was a veteran of palace protocol, someone who had long been trusted to uphold the highest standards of decorum. He had served the crown through countless state occasions, foreign visits, and high-profile events, always maintaining the strict discipline expected of a royal protector. However, on this particular morning, his patience seemed to wane. The children's spirited laughter and running, while charming to many, appeared to disrupt the order he so zealously guarded. Prince Louis, in his typical adventurous fashion, had dashed closer to the guard's position, his tiny footsteps echoing on the cobblestones as he led an impromptu game of tag. The guard, perhaps already irritable from a long morning of standing watch, reacted abruptly. Turning sharply toward the source of the commotion, he called out in a tone that betrayed his irritation. "Enough of that," he barked, his voice cutting through the cheerful noise like a blade. "This is not a playground, young sir. Behave yourself as a prince should." The words hung in the air, an icy contrast to the warmth of the children's laughter. The courtyard fell silent as the young prince froze in his tracks, his wide eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and confusion. He glanced toward his elder siblings, who had been playing nearby, their expressions mirroring his shock. The other children, sensing the sudden shift in mood, retreated slightly, their earlier giggles replaced by uneasy whispers. For a moment, no one moved. The guests, palace staff, and attending officials exchanged stunned glances, unsure of how to react. It was unheard of for a royal guard to speak so harshly to a member of the royal family, let alone a child. While the role of the guards was to enforce security and maintain order, this breach of decorum felt deeply inappropriate, even to those unfamiliar with palace protocol. Prince Louis, though young, was perceptive enough to unto something unusual had just occurred. His lower lip trembled slightly, and for a moment it seemed he might cry. Yet, displaying the quiet resilience characteristic of the royal family, he took a deep breath, straightened his posture, and walked briskly toward his mother, the Princess of Wales, who had been mingling with guests nearby. The princess, immediately sensing her son's distress, knelt to meet him at eye level. Her warm smile and reassuring words quickly comforted Louis, who whispered something inaudible to her. Her expression darkened subtly, a telltale sign to those who knew her well that she was displeased. Rising to her full height, she cast a composed yet pointed glance toward the guard, who now stood rigid, seemingly aware that his outburst had not gone unnoticed. The incident, while brief, marked a moment of tension that rippled through the morning's event. Guests murmured among themselves, speculating on the consequences of such a breach in protocol. Palace aides discreetly moved to address the situation, and within minutes, the guard was quietly relieved of his post and replaced by another. The official proceedings resumed, but the atmosphere remained tinged with unease, as if a shadow had been cast over the otherwise celebratory occasion. Word of the incident quickly spread among the palace staff, many of whom were appalled by the guard's conduct. The royal household operated on a strict hierarchy, and while the staff was expected to maintain discipline, addressing a member of the royal family, especially a child, in such a manner was virtually unheard of. For those who had served the family for years, the guard's words were not just a breach of protocol, but a personal affront to the dignity of the young prince. By the time the day's event concluded, the palace's internal channels were already buzzing with discussions about how to handle the fallout. The Princess of Wales, though outwardly composed, was reportedly insistent that the incident be addressed swiftly and decisively. Prince William, known for his measured approach to such matters, was said to have been equally firm, demanding an explanation and appropriate action to ensure that such an incident would never occur again. While the courtyard eventually returned to its usual state of calm, the echoes of the guard's sharp words lingered, setting in motion a series of events that would reverberate far beyond that autumn morning. The royal family, long accustomed to navigating the scrutiny of the public and media, now faced an internal challenge, balancing their commitment to tradition and decorum with their dedication to protecting the dignity and well-being of their youngest members. For Prince Louis, the incident was an early lesson in the complexities of royal life, a reminder that even in the protective confines of the palace, moments of vulnerability could arise unexpectedly. The reaction within Buckingham Palace to the incident involving Prince Louis and the royal guard was swift and multifaceted, reflecting the complex dynamics of life within the royal household. For a family that places a premium on discretion, decorum, and control over their public narrative, the guard's harsh remark toward the young prince was more than a breach of protocol. It was a direct challenge to the unwritten codes that govern interactions within the palace walls. Word of the incident traveled rapidly through the palace's tightly knit community of staff and courtiers. By the time the formal event concluded, senior members of the royal household were already gathering to discuss the ramifications. The Princess of Wales, who had personally comforted Prince Louis after the guard's outburst, was deeply concerned. Known for her devotion to her children and her calm, measured demeanor, she reportedly spoke privately with key advisors, emphasizing the importance of addressing the matter promptly and effectively. Prince William, on hearing of the event in greater detail, was equally resolute. Though typically characterized by his diplomacy and steady leadership, he was, by all accounts, deeply protective of his family, particularly his youngest son. Witnesses later described his reaction as a mix of controlled anger and disappointment not only in the guard's behavior but in the potential damage such an incident could cause to the family's internal harmony and external image. A meeting was convened that same day involving senior palace officials responsible for managing staff conduct and protocol. The royal household operates under a strict hierarchy, with roles and responsibilities meticulously defined. The actions of the guard, though isolated, were seen as indicative of a lapse in the enforcement of these standards. Those present at the meeting debated whether the incident was a singular error in judgment or a symptom of a broader issue within the palace's operational culture. Among the primary concerns was the emotional well-being of Prince Louis. As one of the youngest members of the royal family, he was still navigating his role in the public eye while being shielded from undue pressure. The incident had left him visibly upset, a reaction that deeply concerned both his parents and the palace staff. Efforts were immediately made to reassure the young prince, with members of the household deliberately creating a warm, supportive environment in the hours following the event. This included small gestures, such as engaging him in light-hearted activities and reinforcing his sense of security within the palace grounds. Parallel to the internal discussions, the palace began drafting a response plan to manage any potential public fallout. While the event had taken place within the confines of the royal residence, the presence of guests and media meant there was a strong likelihood that details of the incident would leak. The palace's communications team, experienced in handling sensitive situations, worked closely with senior advisors to craft messaging that would emphasize the royal family's commitment to high standards while minimizing further scrutiny of the young prince. The guard in question was immediately relieved of his duties pending an internal review. This decision was not made lightly, as royal guards are typically selected through a rigorous vetting process and are held to the highest professional standards. However, the gravity of the situation necessitated swift action, both to signal the seriousness of the breach and to reassure the royal family that their concerns were being addressed. The individual was summoned to a formal inquiry, during which his actions and the circumstances leading up to the outburst were thoroughly examined. As the internal review unfolded, the palace also took steps to prevent similar incidents in the future. Training programs for staff, including those in security roles, were evaluated and updated to include additional guidance on interactions with royal family members, particularly children. The aim was to reinforce the importance of maintaining a balance between discipline and empathy, ensuring that all staff understood their role in fostering a respectful and supportive environment. The incident also prompted reflection within the royal household about the pressures faced by those in service roles. The guard's outburst, while unacceptable, was seen by some as a possible manifestation of stress or burnout a reminder of the demanding nature of life within the palace. Discussions ensued about how to better support staff, including offering resources for mental health and encouraging open communication about challenges faced in their roles. For the royal family, the response to the incident was as much about protecting Prince Louis as it was about upholding the integrity of the institution. The Princess and Prince of Wales made a concerted effort to emphasize to their children, including Louis, that the incident was not a reflection of their worth or behavior. Through quiet moments of reassurance, they sought to reinforce their son's confidence and his understanding of his unique position within the family. By the end of the week, the palace had issued an internal directive reminding all staff of the expectations tied to their roles, with a particular focus on interactions with members of the royal family. While the event had been unsettling, it ultimately served as a catalyst for reinforcing the values and standards that underpin life at Buckingham Palace, ensuring that the welfare of both the royal family and their staff remained paramount. When news of the incident involving Prince Louis and the royal guard broke, it ignited a wave of public outrage and intense media scrutiny. Though the palace had tried to manage the situation discreetly, the presence of guests at the event ensured that details leaked to the press. What started as whispers among royal observers quickly became front-page news, with headlines emphasizing the guard's harsh words and their impact on the young prince. Social media platforms, always quick to amplify royal stories, exploded with reactions, further fueling the controversy. The public response was overwhelmingly supportive of Prince Louis. Many saw the incident as emblematic of a broader issue, the perceived rigidity and detachment of the royal institution. Parents across the country empathized with the young prince, whose tender age and visible distress struck a chord. Online, hashtags like Protect Louis and Royal Respect began trending within hours, with countless individuals voicing their disapproval of a guard's actions and calling for accountability. Memes, opinion pieces, and discussions about the responsibilities of royal staff dominated the digital landscape for days. The media played a significant role in shaping the narrative. Tabloids and broadsheets alike dissected the event, offering varying degrees of commentary on the royal family's handling of the situation. Some outlets criticized the guard directly, portraying him as overly rigid and out of touch with the realities of dealing with children. Others speculated on whether the incident hinted at deeper issues within the royal household's operations, questioning whether staff training and protocols were sufficient for managing interactions with younger members of the family. More sympathetic media coverage focused on the challenges of raising children within the confines of royal life. Prince Louis, known for his lively personality, was celebrated for bringing a sense of normalcy and joy to an otherwise formal institution. Articles highlighted how his youthful exuberance provided a refreshing contrast to the seriousness often associated with royal duties, underscoring why the guard's response felt particularly jarring. The incident also led to broader conversations about the pressures faced by royal children in the public eye. Advocacy groups and child psychologists weighed in, emphasizing the importance of creating safe and nurturing environments for young members of the royal family. The fact that the incident had occurred in a semi-public setting further complicated matters, as it highlighted the difficulty of balancing the children's need for freedom and play with the expectations of royal decorum. For Buckingham Palace, the media frenzy posed a significant challenge. The institution is accustomed to managing public relations crises, but the involvement of a child and the emotional resonance the story had with the public required a delicate approach. The palace issued a carefully worded statement reaffirming its commitment to the well-being of all family members and emphasizing that the matter was being handled internally. However, the statement did little to quell the growing debate. The fallout also extended to discussions about the broader role of the monarchy in modern society. Critics used the incident as an opportunity to question the relevance of such rigid traditions and hierarchies, arguing that they were increasingly at odds with contemporary values. Supporters of the royal family, however, rallied behind Prince Louis, viewing the event as a humanizing moment that underscored the family's relatability. Amid the media coverage, members of the royal family maintained their usual stoicism. Public appearances in the days following the incident were closely watched for signs of tension or discomfort. Observers noted how the Prince and Princess of Wales made subtle efforts to project unity and calm, with Catherine often seen holding Louis's hand or engaging him in quiet conversation during public engagements. As the days passed, the story gradually began to fade from the headlines, but its impact lingered. For many, it was a reminder of the challenges of growing up in the spotlight and the need for those around the royal family to up highest standards of respect and care. While the palace worked to repair any damage to its reputation, the incident left an indelible mark on public perceptions of the monarchy, serving as both a cautionary tale and a call for reflection on how the institution can adapt to better serve its youngest members. Following the incident involving Prince Louis and the Royal Guard, Buckingham Palace promptly initiated an official inquiry to address the situation. The decision to launch the inquiry underscored the gravity with which the royal household treated the event, recognizing its potential implications for internal conduct standards and public perception. While the palace has always prided itself on maintaining order and professionalism among its staff, this incident called those principles into question, necessitating a thorough investigation. The inquiry was led by senior palace officials, who convened a panel to gather information and examine the circumstances surrounding the guard's actions. Witnesses to the incident, including other members of the royal household, attending guests and palace staff, were interviewed to provide a complete picture of the events. Particular attention was given to understanding the sequence of events that led to the guard's outburst and assessing whether any mitigating factors, such as stress or miscommunication, played a role. The guard in question, a seasoned member of the royal security detail, was temporarily relieved of his duties while the investigation was ongoing. This decision was made to ensure impartiality and to signal the palace's commitment to addressing the matter transparently. During his interview, the guard expressed regret for his words, reportedly acknowledging that his reaction had been inappropriate and out of line with his professional responsibilities. The inquiry also examined the broader context of the incident, including the training and support provided to palace staff. Questions were raised about whether the guard had been adequately prepared to manage interactions with young members of the royal family, particularly in informal settings. This led to a broader evaluation of the protocols in place for handling situations where children's natural behavior might clash with the formality of royal events. In addition to investigating the specific incident, the inquiry sought to identify measures to prevent similar occurrences in the future. Recommendations included enhanced training for staff, particularly those in security roles, to ensure a balance between maintaining order and demonstrating empathy. These recommendations emphasized the importance of understanding the unique pressures faced by royal children and creating an environment where they could thrive without fear of undue criticism or harshness. Once the inquiry was concluded, its findings were presented to senior members of the royal family, including the Prince and Princess of Wales. The guard was issued a formal reprimand, accompanied by a directive to undergo additional training before resuming his duties. The incident was officially recorded as a breach of protocol, serving as a reminder of the high standards expected within the royal household. Through this inquiry, Buckingham Palace reaffirmed its commitment to upholding the dignity of all family members, particularly its youngest. The process not only addressed the immediate situation, but also laid the groundwork for a more compassionate and adaptable approach to managing staff interactions with the royal family, ensuring that such an incident would not be repeated. The incident involving Prince Louis and the Royal Guard had broader implications for the royal household, revealing deeper issues about the dynamics of palace operations and the pressures faced by both staff and family members. While the immediate focus was on addressing the guard's actions and supporting the young prince, the aftermath sparked significant discussions about the structure, expectations, and culture within the royal institution. One of the key questions raised was how effectively the palace balanced its dual priorities of maintaining tradition and ensuring the well-being of its members, especially its youngest ones. The incident highlighted a gap in how palace staff were trained to handle informal situations involving the royal children, who, despite their unique roles, were still navigating the world as any other child would. The royal household faced calls to rethink how staff interacted with the family, ensuring that authority and discipline were exercised with empathy, particularly in high-stress environments. The event also shed light on the challenges faced by staff members working in such a high-pressure setting. Royal employees, especially those in security roles, operate under rigorous expectations to uphold order and professionalism. The guard's outburst was seen by some as a symptom of these pressures, prompting discussions about how to better support staff emotionally and mentally. This led to calls for improved training programs and resources, fostering a workplace culture where respect and understanding were prioritized alongside discipline. For the royal family, the incident underscored the ongoing challenge of managing public perception while safeguarding their private lives. It was a reminder that even small missteps within the palace could quickly become public spectacles, amplified by media and social platforms. The royal household faced scrutiny not only for the guards' behavior, but also for how the situation was handled internally, emphasizing the importance of swift and transparent responses to maintain public trust. The incident also reignited debates about the evolving role of the monarchy in modern society. Critics argued that such rigid protocols and hierarchical structures were increasingly at odds with contemporary values, particularly when it came to raising children within the confines of royal expectations. Supporters of the monarchy, however, viewed the event as a learning opportunity, encouraging the institution to modernize its approach while maintaining its core traditions. Ultimately, the incident became a turning point for reflection within the royal household. It served as a reminder that even the most established institutions must continually adapt to the needs of their members and the expectations of the public. By addressing these wider implications, the royal household took steps to ensure that its culture, operations, and values remained relevant and resilient in the face of evolving societal norms. The resolution of the incident involving Prince Louis and the royal guard was handled with a deliberate focus on restoring harmony within the palace and reaffirming the values of respect and dignity that underpin the royal household. After a thorough internal inquiry, the palace issued a formal reprimand to the guard, emphasizing the inappropriateness of his behavior and the need for staff to maintain the highest standards of professionalism, particularly in their interactions with members of the royal family. The guard was also required to undergo additional training before resuming his duties, a step meant to reinforce the palace's commitment to accountability and improvement. While the disciplinary measures addressed the immediate issue, the royal household used the incident as an opportunity for deeper reflection and learning. One key aspect of the resolution was a renewed focus on the well-being of Prince Louis and his siblings. The Prince and Princess of Wales took extra steps to ensure their children felt safe, valued, and supported within the palace environment. For Prince Louis, this involved not only personal reassurance but also subtle adjustments in how future interactions between staff and the royal children were managed. These changes aimed to create a nurturing atmosphere where the youngest royals could thrive while still respecting the formalities of their unique roles. In parallel, the palace implemented broader reforms designed to prevent similar incidents in the future. Staff training programs were expanded to include modules on empathy, child development, and conflict de-escalation, equipping employees with tools to navigate challenging situations with sensitivity. These measures were accompanied by a review of workplace culture, fostering open communication channels where staff could voice concerns or seek guidance without fear of judgment. Publicly, the palace sought to strike a balance between transparency and discretion. While they avoided overly detailed commentary on the incident, their swift and decisive actions demonstrated a commitment to addressing the matter thoughtfully. This approach resonated with the public, who largely viewed the resolution as a positive example of accountability and growth within the institution. The reflection sparked by the event extended beyond the walls of Buckingham Palace. For the royal family, it served as a reminder of the complexities of balancing their public and private lives, especially in a modern era where their every move is closely scrutinized. The incident highlighted the importance of fostering mutual respect between the family and those tasked with serving and protecting them, reinforcing the idea that both sides are integral to the smooth functioning of the monarchy. Ultimately, the resolution marked a turning point, not just for how the royal household addressed the immediate fallout, but for how it approached its long-term responsibilities. The lessons learned became part of a broader effort to modernize palace practices while preserving the traditions that define the monarchy, ensuring that even moments of adversity could contribute to its enduring legacy.